The moment his carriage crossed into London, rocking rather uncomfortably on the cobbled roads, Lord Bryson Mackenzie Fraser, Baron Lovett, wished he could knock on the roof and order his footman to turn right around. But Bryson was in town for a reason. Not a reason he liked or agreed with, yet there was no other purpose for venturing into London, with its stink, literally and metaphorically. At that precise moment, someone splashed a bucket of something disgusting onto the streets, and several others promptly walked through it. My God, what a mess! Bryson felt more comfortable on the back of a horse than in a carriage, with the fresh, clean air of the Scottish moors surrounding him. Ballocks! But he hated all the rules of London society. If he weren't titled, he wouldn't have to worry about the rules. He would go about his workday and come home to a hot meal and dram in front of his fireplace, where he could read a good book before falling into bed. Instead, he would have to wine and dine, dance and romance one dithering fool after another, while tucked into a ridiculous, pompous costume. Trousers and jackets and cravats be damned. Give him his kilt and a loose shirt any day. But his grandfather had made it very clear. If he was going to inherit the earldom of Aberdeen, he needed to take an English bride. And the old bastard had no problem writing him out of the will, his exact words, thereby bringing so much of what Bryson hated full circle. The idea of not marrying and letting the earldom go to his cousin seriously crossed Bryson's mind. To be free of the responsibility and, most importantly, of being chained to a woman he didn't care for was enticing. He was happy remaining a baron for the rest of his days and living peacefully at Castle Fraser. There he wouldn't have a wife to contend with. Bryson's only examples of what a wife meant to someone were the faint memories of his parents, which were hardly memories at all, given he had been so young when he lost them, and then his grandparents, which wasn't pleasant. Wasn't that great of an example either. Dear old Granny had been a force, but if she was thunder, her husband was lightning. The arguments, my God. It had been a blessing when he'd finished at Oxford and been able to move to Castle Fraser rather than returning to his grandfather's seat to resume the torment all over again. So why the hell was he going through with this? Simple. It was a matter of pride. Well, and he wanted to set up a better life for his sister. Finding an English bride was going to be a piece of cake. After all, he was rich, and with marriage his future inheritance of a wealthy earldom would be sealed. And what lady of society didn't want to be a countess with enough coin to buy a new dress every day of the year? Bryson guessed those two things alone would be good enough to get him in front of a few simpletons.